September 1979, Venice, Italy. Silvano, a robust, middle-aged hotelier known for his booming laugh and tireless work ethic, lay rigid in his bed, eyes wide open, staring at the ornate ceiling, utterly terrified. For weeks, sleep had been a cruel mirage, a promise whispered by exhaustion but never delivered, and now, even the fleeting moments of dozing had vanished, replaced by a relentless, waking nightmare where his mind raced, but his body wouldn't obey. His wife, Maria, watched him, her own sleep fractured by his restless tossing and the chilling silence that followed, a silence punctuated only by the frantic thrum of his heart against the mattress. He'd begun seeing things in the shadows, hearing whispers in the quiet, his once sharp wit replaced by a paranoid tremor that ran through his hands. Just yesterday, he'd accused the bellboy of stealing his thoughts, his words slurred, his pupils dilated, a grotesque parody of the man she married. The family doctor, Dr. Rossi, had prescribed stronger and stronger sedatives, but they were useless, merely pinning Silvano to the bed while his mind continued its frantic, sleepless dance. Maria felt a cold dread creep up her spine. This wasn't just insomnia, this was a possession, a slow, agonizing theft of the man she loved, and deep down, she remembered whispers from her own grandmother about a similar affliction that had taken her great-uncle decades ago, a shadow that had always haunted their family history, now manifesting with horrifying precision. The hotel, once Silvano's pride, became a cage. His once impeccable memory frayed, replaced by bizarre confabulations. He'd greet guests who weren't there, argue with invisible porters, and meticulously polish phantom silverware. His body, once strong, began to betray him, his gait grew unsteady, his speech slurred, his hands trembling uncontrollably as if constantly shivering in an unseen cold. Dr. Rossi, a kind but increasingly baffled man, admitted his limits, suggesting psychiatric evaluation, but Maria knew it wasn't madness in the conventional sense. Silvano wasn't depressed or delusional in a way she recognized, he was simply breaking. He would lie for hours, utterly still, yet his eyes darted, tracking unseen specters across the room. He complained of an unbearable heat, even in the cool Venetian autumn, his skin clammy, his pulse racing like a trapped bird. The sedatives, meant to bring peace, only heightened his agitation, transforming him into a thrashing, shouting stranger who fought against the very sleep he craved. Maria, along with their daughter, Anna, took turns sitting by his bedside, witnessing the slow, relentless erosion of his being, the terrifying transformation from a vibrant man to a hollow, twitching shell. The family's whispers about the great-uncle grew louder, more urgent, a chilling echo across the generations, suggesting a pattern, a curse, that no one understood. Desperate, Anna began her own relentless search, poring over medical texts, contacting specialists across Italy, her days fueled by fear and coffee. She refused to accept a diagnosis of simple psychosis. Her father's symptoms were too specific, too physically devastating. She finally found a name that kept appearing in her research, Dr. Elio Lugarici, a pioneering sleep neurologist at the University of Bologna, renowned for his work on unusual sleep disorders. He was a man who understood the brain's nocturnal mysteries better than anyone. Anna, with a tremor in her voice, called his office, recounting her father's impossible story, the absolute sleeplessness, the rapid cognitive decline, the autonomic dysfunction. Dr. Lugarici, initially cautious, having heard countless tales of severe insomnia, was struck by the specificity of Anna's description, the relentless progression, the family history. He agreed to see Silvano, a glimmer of hope piercing the suffocating despair. The journey to Bologna was arduous, Silvano barely conscious, his eyes wide and unblinking, his body a puppet of tremors that in Dr. Lugarici's state-of-the-art sleep lab, a stark contrast to the old Venetian hotel. Silvano was wired with electrodes, his every brain wave, eye movement, and muscle twitch meticulously recorded. The room was dark, quiet, designed for the deepest slumber, but Silvano lay there, a silent, twitching sentinel. Dr. Lugarici and his team watched the monitors, their faces growing increasingly grim. The readings were unprecedented, chilling. There were no sleep spindles, those brief bursts of brain activity characteristic of light sleep. There were no K-complexes, the sharp, high-amplitude waves that punctuate deeper sleep. Most terrifyingly, there was no slow-wave sleep, no delta activity, the hallmark of restorative deep sleep. Silvano's brain was trapped in a perpetual, shallow wakefulness, a bizarre, broken circuit. It wasn't just that he couldn't sleep, his brain had lost the very capacity to generate sleep. This was not a psychological problem, this was a profound, organic neurological catastrophe, a unique form of brain damage that stole the very essence of rest. The realization hit Lugarisi with the force of a physical blow. He was witnessing a previously undescribed, fatal human condition. The diagnosis, whispered in hushed tones, was agrepnia excitata, agitated sleeplessness, a temporary label for an unimaginable reality. Dr. Lugarisi, a man of science, was deeply moved by the family's plight and the sheer horror of Silvano's condition. He spent hours with Anna, meticulously piecing together the family tree she had painstakingly drawn. It was a macabre tapestry of early deaths, of relatives who had suffered similar, mysterious declines into sleeplessness, dementia, and death, always around the same age. The pattern was undeniable, terrifyingly consistent. This wasn't a random tragedy, it was a genetic curse, lying dormant, waiting to strike. Lugarisi contacted his colleague, Dr. Pierluigi Gambetti, a brilliant neuropathologist at Case Western Reserve University in the United States, known for his work on neurodegenerative diseases. He described Silvano's unique clinical presentation and the chilling family history, urging Gambetti to prepare for a post-mortem examination, knowing that only by looking inside the brain could they truly understand this monstrous affliction. When Silvano finally succumbed, his brain, carefully preserved, made its way to Dr. Gambetti's lab. Under the harsh glare of the microscope, Gambetti and his team began their meticulous examination. What they saw was both profound and baffling. The most striking damage was concentrated in the thalamus, a deep-seated structure in the brain, often called the gateway to the cortex, or the sleep switchboard. This crucial relay station, responsible for filtering sensory information and regulating sleep-wake cycles, was riddled with microscopic holes, like a sponge. Neurons were dying, replaced by a proliferation of astrocytes, the brain's repair cells, creating a peculiar spongiform change, but without the typical inflammatory response seen in infections. Gambetti, a veteran of rare brain diseases, immediately recognized a disturbing similarity to Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, became a landmark case in neuroscience, forever altering our understanding of sleep and neurodegenerative diseases. It transformed FFI from a whispered family curse into a recognized, albeit rare, genetic prion disease. Anna, carrying the weight of her family's legacy, became a tireless advocate, helping other families grappling with similar, undiagnosed conditions. Her courage, and the suffering of her relatives, provided invaluable insight into the brain's intricate mechanisms. The discovery spurred a global effort to understand prion, leading to breakthroughs in diagnosing and researching other neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, which also involve protein misfolding. While a cure for FFI remains elusive, research continues into gene therapies and anti-prion drugs, offering a glimmer of hope for future generations. The family's sacrifice illuminated a dark corner of human biology, forcing science to confront the profound and often terrifying fragility of the human brain. The chilling saga of fatal familial insomnia stands as a stark, unforgettable testament to the absolute necessity of sleep. It proved, beyond any doubt, that sleep is not merely a passive state of rest, a luxury we can forego, but an active, vital process orchestrated by the brain, essential for our very existence. When that intricate machinery breaks down, when the brain loses its capacity to generate and sustain sleep, the consequences are catastrophic, leading to a relentless, irreversible decline into madness and death. The story of Silvano, trapped in his waking nightmare, reminds us that beneath the surface of our everyday consciousness lies a delicate biological symphony, and its conductor is sleep. It's a profound, terrifying lesson in humility, revealing how quickly the complex architecture of the mind can crumble when its most fundamental rhythm is stolen, leaving behind only the echo of a life that could no longer find peace, even in oblivion.